For those of you who may not have seen it, BioWare actually had a Twitch stream today that showed off character creation, as well as a little bit more gameplay and what you can expect to see when Dragon Age Inquisition gets released. And I'm only going to have the video, as always, kind of up here while I'm speaking. It's also going to be where you can click on to go ahead and watch the stream if you haven't already. There will also be a link down below in the description as well. And already what they show is kind of the way you get into the start menu, which you have the... you have Haven, which they confirmed is actually Haven. You see the Templars on one side, Mages on another, possibly going hopefully to a peace summit, or at least that's what it's been kind of described as from the different character origins that you have to choose from. And then by pressing start and hitting new game, you kind of just see Haven get nuked, just boom, explosion, to which you were brought into the Fade after choosing either male or female character, and then you have some very gorgeous little cards that represent either male or female, humans, dwarves, Qunari, elves, and then from there you can go ahead and choose from that whether you want to be a mage, a two-handed fighter, sword and shield fighter, you want to go ahead and be a two-weapon rogue, or a rogue archer. Now that's not what you're going to be set as, and throughout the entire game, it's not, right, this is what it is, and this is the only thing you can be. You can go ahead and swap out, or kind of be, from what they've said, a kind of hybrid between the two. It's just what you get as far as your starting abilities and your starting equipment. That's all that affects. That is not what you have to stick with. So I thought that was a nice touch, because you might want to start off as a two-weapon rogue, then decide, nah, I think I want to try out archer more, or again, be a hybrid between any two of them. But the actual card designs, once again, are very well done. Kudos to the person who created it. And after you go ahead and go through that and choose what you want to be, choose your race, what class you're going to be, and so on, it takes you to the Fade. You kind of see your character on the floor, and they just pop up, and that's how you get into the character creation. You, of course, have your different presets to choose from, but you do have the option to go ahead and customize your character further. Now, the one thing I was kind of scared about, because I'm a huge sucker for character creation, anybody who knows me can tell you, is originally what they were saying is they're kind of debating whether or not they're going to stick to more Mass Effect style, very simple sliders, so you couldn't customize your character too much, but you at least can go ahead and try and make your face not look super generic, because they wanted to go ahead and allow you to choose your height and weight. But then they decided, you know what, being able to really create your own Inquisitor, really get into the nitty-gritty details of creation would probably be favorable. I know that's definitely something I appreciate, and I'm happy they decided to go that route, because the amount of detail in creation is insane in the best way possible. I mean, for instance, you do have your basic setup as far as choosing your hairstyles, head shape, so on, but you actually can go a step further. You have the basic sliders for some of the ones that are only just going to be the 1D, but then you also have 2D sliders that can really go ahead and shape as far as cheekbones, ears, ear shape, position, nose shape, position. They're even talking about having broken noses, just a whole bunch of crazy details you have available. And you also have the ability to go and do eyelash length and so on. It's just, you really got to see it, and again, I'll probably have it up here on the side for you to look at as well. And they even allowed you to have makeup for both males and females, so if you want to go ahead and have eyeshadow as well as lipstick on, that's also more likely going to be up here for you to see. They really just went all out for the what kind of options that you have available. And they also showed off the female Qunari as far as creation is concerned, and also mentioned the fact that each race kind of has sometimes their own little limitations or additions that you get for choosing a specific race during that creation portion. The most amount of freedom, from what they've said, is kind of going to be humans, because they have a lot that they have. They're basically the balance when it comes to a lot of different things, to where they're not going to get anything too special, but they're not going to have anything taken away from them. For the Dwarves, they did mention the fact that they're going to have some of the craziest facial tattoos, because the fact that's kind of the way Dwarves are. With the Elves, they didn't say there's anything in particular, except for the fact that, just like with the Qunari 2, you can go ahead and shape the elven ears this time around, instead of it just being just there. You can have the ability to tweak it, and so on. With Qunari, they have it to where the one thing everybody was looking forward to is being able to go ahead and choose different designs for horns. They have quite a few different ones available, even broken horns, shaved off horns, or you can even go for the hornless variant, so you can kind of look more like Sten from Dragon Age Origins. And even with the skin color, it's more of an earthy tone, just a darker. You have silvers, you have just grays, light grays, dark grays, a bronze even. So again, you can kind of create a character that looks similar to Sten. Hair color is a little bit more restricted. Originally, they were thinking about strictly just going white, just like most of the Qunari from Dragon Age 2, but then decided to give you a little bit more freedom, but not too many options, not as many, obviously, as you would have with the humans. But even just behind the different racial things, you also have just a lot of other things you could choose from, even for as far as facial scars. You can actually move the facial scars around. It's not just set in stone to just one place, and so on. Even just like iris color, as far as inner iris, outer iris. It just gets really crazy, and I can't wait to get hands-on myself. Because again, I always tend to make a character that's supposed to be me in the game, typically known as like a self-insert character, as well as I just have a whole bunch of other ideas of characters I want to create. Not only that, but I can't wait to see what a lot of you viewers come up with, especially the people who follow me, or I follow them, just to see all the different Inquisitors people can come up with. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see all these different creative characters and Inquisitors kind of just running around. They also go into short detail about how Dragon Age Keep is going to go ahead and play into Dragon Age Inquisition. If you haven't seen already, I have done a video giving what I can, because NDA is still even to this day around, about certain details with Dragon Age Keep. But you do have, from what they've mentioned in here, which I don't think I even had the chance to speak about, is you can set a standard world state, which is your chosen world state for Dragon Age Inquisition. And if you already have an Origins account that's tied to Dragon Age, you can go ahead and automatically grab that and go from there. Now, of course, that default, or not default, because default's what they give you if you don't choose one, but the standard world state, the main world state that you choose, can be changed for different playthroughs. It's not, once you put it in there, that's the only one you can use for all playthroughs. So you can change it with each playthrough. You just can't change it during a playthrough and have it affect that specific playthrough after you already have one. I think I may have confused you even more, and I'm sorry if I did. During the presentation, they also showed off a little bit more gameplay, specifically the tactical camera and combat. They took you into Valimar, which from what they've said is more of just an extended alternate route from what they've already shown in E3 and Gamescom and other locations. And this time around, combat, as I've stated before, is more of a balance between Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Origins. You still have the normal click-based combat instead of just sitting there and just auto attack. You can go ahead and choose to attack on your own, so it's a little bit quicker, but it definitely is going to require a lot more strategy as you go through. You generally don't want to rush headlong into battle because it's not going to end well, especially when you're going against bigger mobs. And you can go ahead and use it to your advantage to go ahead and set up the kind of combat. You want to go ahead and put certain people in certain positions for either flanking maneuver, kind of getting certain combat strategies set up. And not only that, but allows you to go ahead and take a look at your opponents and kind of get a little bit of detail, not only as far as their levels are concerned, because this time around you will be able to see not only your levels as you normally could, but you can see your opponent's level, because they're not going to scale like they have in previous games. So certain areas, it might not be a good idea to go ahead and rush to fight a level 17 if you're only level 6. You're going to get your ass kicked. So you really need to keep in mind the kind of opponents you're going to be fighting and your surroundings. It's going to be important to do so. But you can also see like their vulnerabilities, so you can take advantage of that. So you really have a lot more strategy involved. Not only that, when in regards to fighting with mages, they're not going to be you're not going to have a dedicated kind of healer character like you would usually think so. They're more of crowd control. The way you kind of go about healing this time around is you go ahead and use your potions, which are going to be limited. There's ways of increasing it to a certain degree, but it definitely will not be one of those things where it's unlimited or you got a ridiculous amount of potions. You really need to think between battle to battle how you're going to plan things out, because your health will not regenerate in between battles. You only have your health potions, so you really need to think before you act. Not only that, but you do have, later on they were talking about you can get like health grenades or even further upgrading revival grenades. You can kind of see in the gameplay video there's little different ingredients and things you can use for crafting kind of littered around. It's not like Dragon Age 2, where it's, okay, well, there's just this one resource, I found it once, that's it, just throw money at it, and a little bit more like Dragon Age Origins, but still at the same time different. Like I said, they kind of find they strike a nice little balance from what they've shown so far between the two games. When it comes to Revival, the way it works is you can either go ahead and take the chance in the middle of battle if somebody falls, go ahead and run over there, kind of hold A or right mouse click if you're playing PC, or just there's going to be a specific button depending on what platform you're playing that's going to allow you to revive them, but it's going to be a slow process. This is going to leave you wide open, so it's not always the best idea to do so. Otherwise, at a much higher level during a specific mage tree, they will have a ranged revival spell, and like I said before, you also have the revival grenade. But the way you want to go ahead and try and keep yourself alive, besides just the potions, is mages can go ahead and put up barriers on your allies to try and keep them alive. Not only that, but warriors have a way of building up kind of guard points from go ahead and using certain techniques that kind of work as additional life bars to try and keep you alive. And also what you can see is there's stylized little portraits for your characters, which I think are really nice because just, again, gorgeous art style from what they've gone with this time around. And you have the portraits of your character, but once they get close to low health, you notice it changes, and you see them, they're kind of a little bit beat up. Unfortunately, your own character, your Inquisitor, will not have their own portrait, because I know a lot of people were a fan of the derp face. Even they mentioned the derp face, which I thought was funny, because you have people creating their own little character portraits that way, and it can be quite funny. They decided to stick with just the iconic Inquisitor hand, and the way it works for that changing, because they wanted to match the stylized little portraits for each character, is it will go ahead and turn red, and that's how you kind of immediately know. It's like the oh shit button, hey, your Inquisitor's about to die, so if you're not on your Inquisitor, you better handle that. They do show quite a few different techniques and abilities that you have for the different classes, as well as even some cross-class combos. They also mention the fact that you can go ahead and fall off the side of certain areas that are high off, but what it'll do is it'll go ahead and reset you. However, if you're able to go ahead and knock an enemy off the side of a cliff or a high area, they're going to die, and it's going to be awesome. And they also mention Cassandra, or just anybody who probably is going to be Sword and Shield, or just probably even some other classes are going to have certain abilities that are going to be really good at just knocking people off the side, which is also going to be something you want to consider strategically in case you really just don't want to deal with a certain enemy and just whack. Splat. The one thing I do like that they seem to have brought back is instead of it being situational XP, meaning after you go ahead and kill an entire mob, that was one fight, here's your amount of XP, it looks like they've gone back to per kill XP, which I think is really a better way of going about doing so, in my opinion. They then kind of shift forward into a different area to where they show you just a little bit of exploration. You do see the map to see it's a little bit bigger, somewhat freeform, much larger maps than what you've seen, of course, in Dragon Age 2, and even what you've seen in Dragon Age Origins. And you can go ahead, and something I'm sure Pedo wouldn't be too enthusiastic about, kill some of the digital, not real animals, obviously, wildlife that's kind of roaming around. So you see a ram, and you go ahead and see a fennec fox, to which Cameron Lee, the evil, evil man that he is, kills the poor fennec fox that was just defenseless, but probably tastes delicious if you cook it, but you didn't hear that from me. And from there, they show you yet another encounter. This time you're fighting against Templars, which are kind of set up a little bit more strategically. They even mention how there's going to be different enemy types now that you really need to take into mind. For instance, you go ahead and see that one of the Templars has a huge tower shield. So you want to kind of set up, if you wanted to have any kind of effect in combat, to kind of get them to turn around, get behind them, flank them, be able to hit them from behind the shield, because you're not going to be able to do much hitting just the shield straight on. So you're going to see them set up the different combat, and as far as you're seeing the ranger who's already got a special ability readied, you know, go try and stop them from doing so, and using some of the different abilities in the tactical camera once again. But the great thing that you notice is the AI is a little bit more responsive this time around. Kind of in that previous video as well with the combat, you kind of see that Cameron Lee unfortunately gets completely wiped out by a Hurlock Alpha. That kind of just, there's going to be different behaviors to look out for. So you can kind of see that it was going to berserk and kind of go into technique, which Mike Laidlaw went ahead and said, which you can go ahead and do in those kind of situations, kind of break it out of it by doing a shield bash or just using other techniques to get it to stop from doing so, otherwise it's going to end really bad. And also what you see with the Templars, especially the archers, that unlike previous games where archers kind of just stand there, keep trying to shoot at you, or even just kind of do melee combat, if you're hitting at them at close range, they're going to go ahead and back up, and they're going to try and get to a safe distance where they can kind of continue to attack you with the most efficiency. So that's really a nice change that you've seen to the AI as well. And that'll just about do it. I think I've blabbed on about this long enough. Once again, definitely go ahead and watch the video for yourself, kind of hear the commentary that they have to offer. They provide a little bit more insight into the game and some of its details, and just get a feel for it yourself. Again, I'm definitely really excited for it. I've already pre-ordered in full. Can't wait to do the character customization, the multiplayer, all of it. And I will be getting it for the PlayStation 4, and of course there will be a playthrough. But if you are going to be on the PlayStation 4 and you're somebody who's subscribed to me or even just a viewer, and you're interested in parting up, definitely go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Or go ahead and just let me know what you thought of this video, and even just what you thought of the Twitch stream if you saw it already. Go ahead and discuss it further. And thank you for watching, and until next time. They just run away.
There's no end to them.